Okay, so you missed lesson 5.1.2, decomposition of water. First, make sure you watch this video because it actually shows you the equipment and what happened in the lab. First, we worked on the chem catalyst. It says, what do you think's happening when water is broken apart? Well, if we sketch out a water molecule and it's broken apart, a lot of people will just kind of do something like this, which is fine, not entirely accurate because hydrogen, we learn this as we go through this unit, hydrogen always loves to pair up, so those two would pair up, and same with oxygen. So you would actually need two water molecules that get broken up so that you could make the two H2s and the one O2. So again, you'd need two H2Os for everything to work out. That's called a balanced reaction. Okay, so hopefully you've watched the other video already because then this will all make sense for how we did the procedure. But basically what we did was we noted that both volumes started at 0 milliliters, and after we ran the electrolyzer for about 10 minutes, we noticed that the red electrode, let's say it had 8 milliliters of gas. The black one would have around 16 milliliters of gas. So the total volume of gas then, since we started with 0, this is easy, 8 milliliters and 16 milliliters. While it was running, we answered some questions. Every single molecule of H2O has 2 H atoms and 1 O atom. When water decomposes then, which gas do you think you're going to make more of? Well, hydrogen gas, because it's H2O, so obviously you're going to make twice as much hydrogen gas as you will oxygen gas. So then which one, the black or the red, it says, do you think contains hydrogen gas? So if we go back to this, the black electrode collected 16 milliliters of gas. The red one only collected 8. So that must mean that the black one is the one that contains the hydrogen gas because there's twice as much, 2 times the amount as in the tube with the red electrode. Okay, cool. You also probably saw in the other video that when we lit a splint, the gas from the black electrode went pop, kind of made this poofing sound, a mini explosion, versus the red one will relight a glowing splint. So it's not all the way on fire, and a lot of times it will cause the fire to reignite. Okay, these are properties of these gases, hydrogen and oxygen gas. Now, you probably noticed that the tube contained 2 molar KOH. So what do you think would happen if we used 4 molar KOH? Well, if the tubes were big enough, since this is twice as concentrated, if you ran the time for twice as long, you would probably get close to 2 times the amount of gas. So a lot of people get kind of confused about what's going on here. Like, I thought we were splitting water. What's this KOH stuff? Well, when you dissolve potassium hydroxide in water, it creates positive and negative ions because water molecules, because they're so polar, will pull this salt apart. KOH is a metal and nonmetals. It's an ionic salt. So now, basically, electricity can flow through. If we just put pure H2O in that tube in the electrolyzer, nothing would happen. Electricity can't flow through pure H2O because it's not conductive. So why would the reaction change if the concentration changes? Meaning it's double the amount of salt that you put in there, because there are more ions for electricity to flow through. So the water can break apart faster. And then revisit your chem catalyst, revise it to include both concentrations. I'm going to skip over that. Check-in questions, these are great. How did you identify which gas was hydrogen and which was oxygen? Well, again, we noticed that the one with 2 times the amount must have been hydrogen because H2O. So the ratio is 2 to 1. We use KOH because it made the water conductive. Why is it important to know how much energy the electrolyzer uses? Well, we can kind of say, oh, yay, this is so great. Now we're going to use hydrogen and oxygen gas to produce energy, and it just releases water. Well, the question is, how much energy did it take for you to get these fuels? Because is it worth it? And what process was used for that? So that's getting at number 4. Where does electricity used to run the electrolyzer come from? Well, ultimately, it probably comes from a coal power plant. Of course, there are some renewable sources of energy, especially in this area as well, but we are still very reliant on coal. So there's a couple questions for homework, and kind of what we were just talking about helps you out with number 1. And then number 2 also you'll want to take a look at, do a little research about methane. So that should help you out with lesson 5.